So we've got Winston-Salem in history. It's previously a library book, and it is missing one series of books, missing one booklet. So we're going to put a string around it just to make sure that they all stay together and nothing gets lost. Now I've wrapped it up. There are 13 books in here. We're missing one of the books. So, and since it's a library edition, it's not in great shape. I'm thinking put $6 on it. Now we don't have a sticker for $6. The stickers only go up to $4, so we take a pen or a marker and plain circle and write $6, just like that, and then peel it off and put it on the outside of the cover. So this book, just found, has a price tag from another bookstore, and we're going to peel it off, slightly increase the value of the book, and put a price on it for a novel.
I've just been out to the pod and brought in a box. It's a mixed box. There's some little paperbacks, some hardbacks, but what attracted me to this one is it's chock full of an interesting variety of cookbooks. So let's see what we've got here. You're invited. Please join us for a celebration of North Carolina's finest recipes. Looks very nice. Looks nearly new. And if we look in here, the Junior League of Raleigh. We try to find a copyright date, see how new or old it might be. 1998. Okay, it's 23 years old. Gives us a sense, knowing the copyright, of how long it has been out. We can be checking down, look which printing it is and such, if we're interested. And the other thing we notice, looking at the opening, there's no dedications. It doesn't appear to be gifted to anybody. We look through and see if we can find old letters, dollar bills, saving stamps, S&H green stamps, poems, love notes, and we remove pretty much all of that because we generally think nobody's interested in seeing it. Okay, so from the copyright, we also actually see, reading this page, that this is the first printing, and that it was in September 1998 was that printing, and it was a run of 10,000 copies. So there are 10,000 of these little suckers floating around in the world. That's not a bad run. It's a smallish run for a modern printing press. So there will not be that many copies of this book out in the world. Next thing we look for is whether there are any inscriptions in the book. Usually they're in these first few pages. It might be somebody has gifted it to someone and they'll sign their name as the giftor, and the giftee's name will be there, to Bob and Louise from Charlie and Carol. Such an inscription usually drops the price a little bit, unless it's some famous person. On the other hand, sometimes it's dedicated to a person and it's signed by the author, which is generally considered a positive thing, and usually you can price the book up a little bit as a result. Having done that, there's nothing here either way. It's clean. We leaf through the book. We're looking for several things here. We're looking to see, are there food stains? Very common in a cookbook that is actually used, but rare because most cookbooks seem to sit on a shelf and never get touched, which is good for us. In addition to looking for underlining food stains and the like, we look for things left in the book as a bookmark, which can be anything from the latest utility bill to a love letter to a poem, a prayer. Please, Lord, let my dinner not burn tonight. So, and we usually remove all of that. On rare occasions, we see money, S&H green stamps, the like, in the book. But okay. So I would think in its favor, it's clean. Running against it, it's a cookbook, which are often a dime a dozen. But I think I'll put $4 on this book. I think that this book would be fairly priced at $4. It's low enough to be attractive for people to buy, high enough to support itself. The majority of cookbooks, according to one of our longtime members, the majority of cookbooks at other bookstores like McKay's is $4, and you can't get much more than that. I think you can on some, but we'll go with 4 for this one. There we go. All right, next up, we have a Reader's Digest condensed book. This is it's a series going back to the 70s. They've been doing these for years. Take 4 novels typically, condense them so they fit in one book, and sell them to people with trouble reading or short attention spans. Anyway, we can't use them. Customers at our book sales don't really go for these when we try them. So what we do is we set them aside and donate them to charity. Typically the free library systems around Winston-Salem. Okay, here we go. Next up, we have a hardback novel, Julie by Catherine Marshall. Same general feeling. We check to look. It's possible there is no price on the inside flyleaf of this book, as they usually are, and there is no barcode on the back of the book. Makes me think that this might be a book club edition of a novel. Book club editions usually are not as desirable and attractive as the full retail version. So that's a question mark on this guy. Clean, no previous prices, no signatures, no scribbling, inscriptions. We see this book was printed in 1984 in the US. It's the second printing of it. I'm still holding out that this might be a book club edition. It was printed in special arrangements with McGraw-Hill by this Guideposts book. So, being that it's a book club edition, even though it's nice and fresh and clean, I think that's going to mark it down a bit. It's very clean looking. No insertions, underlining, scribbling, writing, torn pages, dog ears, no bad smell coming out of it. So we're going to price this book at $3, down a little from what you would an otherwise clean hardback novel. We have some color coded. 4 is a $4. Red is a $4 price. Green is a $3, which is what we're going to use. Put it here. If it's really a low price, we have a black, which means $2. And then, if we have nothing in there, it usually goes for $1, what it's chosen to be by default. But suppose it's something special. If it's something special, we have blank white ones, where we can fill in what we feel is a much more appropriate. So for example, if it's a hardback book but signed by the author, we might put $5 or $6 instead of $4, and we do that with a white label and writing in with ballpoint pen. Okay, next up is a softback paperback book. Okay, here's another one, a little bit odd compared to the others. This is a paperback. It's a nice size paperback, a Penguin paperback, you can tell from the little emblem on it. But it's not a novel, it wouldn't go in these bins in the front. The Gates of Europe by Sergei Plochy, a history of the UK Republic. So this is really a history book. And we would put this one, paperbacks, non-novel, can go up in price because there's a relatively limited demand and people pay a lot. This particular book sold in England for £11. That would be about $15 today. So I think we could put $4 on this. In fact, it's already been priced $4. And we can just put this back over against the wall on the history box. Now, here's a bit of a sad item. This one's a paperback also. It sold originally for 75 cents. That means it's probably, my guess is maybe the 70s, 1970s. That low, 1970, New American Library. This book is really what would be called toned. They use cheap, you hear a lot about acid-free paper. This is acid paper. The acidity in the paper is slowly decomposing the paper in this book, making it very brittle. So we probably are best either find this a home, donate it. Maybe the little free libraries would like it. It's still a good story, Anna, 1,000 Days, or straight in the trash, one or the other. So we'll start as a donation. So there are other reasons why we would throw a book away, right? Lots of them.
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah. The underlining, yellow markers. If the book is in such bad condition that it's distracting, if you decide that it would be distracting to read it, then it should be thrown away.
For example, if it's moldy.
Oh, moldy,
or from a home of an inveterate
smoke.
Smoker.
Yes,
That's another
badly
reason.
torn pages or badly torn covers. Sometimes we find that the binding is falling off.
Although that can be glued and fixed.
That can be glued and fixed.
But what can't be is water damage. If they sat in the water and they're all wrinkly, you never get those wrinkles out.
Or mold.
Or mold.
Some books.
So then there's the other case of books that were thrown away in haste and maybe shouldn't have been. Let's think of some of the examples of that we have. If it's a really antique book, the rules change. We expect that they're going to be showing some wear. They might even have some tears in them, things that would normally qualify for throwing it out. What is an antique book? Say 1950 is as good a line as anywhere. Anything earlier than that is really old in the book world. Anything later than that is really considered modern. So if it's the first half of the 20th century or anything in the 19th century or even earlier than that, it'd be hard pressed to find an 18th century book here, but you might. So those all need an extra, you should ask somebody before you would take it on yourself to consign such a book to the dustbin.
And sometimes we get religious books, sometimes very old ones. We do have a category for Bibles. Sometimes they can be used by churches or donated to other religious organizations.
Very good point. Yeah. And it's worth mentioning first editions of classic books. Black Beauty, the Bobbsey Twins, the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. They've been reprinted dozens and dozens of times, maybe even hundreds of times, but if you can find an early edition, preferably a first or second edition, and an early printing, one of the printings in the single digits, you've probably got something worth quite a bit. Assuming it's the better condition, you'd be surprised what it could go for.
And that should definitely be set aside for someone else to look at in price.
Yes. Textbooks. There's an odd category. There is a lot of money in textbooks. There, it depends on having the most recent or a near recent edition of the textbook, so that an early textbook that's been updated 7 or 8 times is probably not worth much except as a historic curiosity, but a lot of money in it. We set them aside and we let somebody who's in the field of teaching take a look at them and pull out the separate the wheat from the chaff and price them.
There are other things that we can do with books.
Such as sell them on eBay.
Or Craigslist.
Or Craigslist.
Nextdoor.
Yeah. We sell quite a lot. On I'm Not Alone, Cam is also great. Got me started doing this. I sell books on eBay, not the only one, and all the profits go back to the Shepherd Centre, and we can sell books. It's a global market, really, easy access to. And books can go for so much more than $4. The best sale I ever made on eBay was a book. It was a Civil War book. It was called Chancellorsville, a study of the battlefield preparations and study of the battles around Chancellorsville in Virginia. It was a single volume. It had been printed about 1910. It was in the bin, $4 price tag on it, and it sold on eBay after about 2 months for $220. That's one book. Okay, we've talked about prices. We've talked about eBay. Books can sell for very much more than $4. That's not the limit for a book at all. My best sale on eBay was a book that I picked out of the history bin. It was marked $4. Looked special. I did research on it, put it up on eBay. It sold for $220.
So if you're in here and you're not sure about something, make sure to ask other people. We all consult with each other. We all have our little specialty areas, and ask certainly before you, if you're not sure.
Atlanta.
Yeah. And they had been sat in the trailer for nearly a year, 6 months or to a year. One of the things that happened, if you put those paper stickers on a cloth slipcover,
It colors it.
yeah, it left it, because of the heat of the summer,
Right.
you got, where this was, a big greasy spot underneath, so it kind of marks
I
down
try to put
the
it on
book.
the inside.
That would be better, but we usually put on the slipcase and on the book so that somebody doesn't just throw the slipcase away and say, here's a book with no price, and you know.
Yeah.
So we usually do it in both places. But that was,
There might,
wow, look at this.
it had a $3 price tag on
No.
it. I think we can get more.
Originally sold for 40. Probably could sell this on eBay.
Yeah.
Nice and clean. Guess how much on eBay?
No, you guess. Yeah, you guess.
I've got no idea. I haven't done any research.
You
on
said
it.
$25, didn't
25 up to 100,
you? Yeah,
depending on the condition.
yeah.
$25?
Up to 100.
Pretty.
So, just found this book in here. It's novel. It's brand new. Looks in excellent condition. Originally cost $24. Has no marks in it. Maybe it's been read once. So, it's got a $3 price tag on, but I'm going to change it to $4. It's brand new, relatively good condition novel that goes for $4. And we, the whole point of this is to get the most money we can for the Shepherd Center. We support what they do, and so if you can put a reasonable price on it that you would be willing to spend for this book, that would be, you should use your judgment. Okay, found this book about Jack Welch, straight from the gut. Looks in good condition, but we open it up. It actually was purchased before. It's already got an orange price tag on, but it's got a stamp on it. It was part of Salem Town, and it's got a stamp on it. It's a library book that reduces the value of the book slightly. It means it's been used by several people. It's also got multiple price tags on the back. So I think we'll leave the $3 price tag on this and put it into biography section. Okay, I found a book here about Roy Williams. It's A Life on the Court, so it's his life story. But because he's sports oriented, I think we'll put this in the sports category rather than biography. But
Here's another one, Judith. Would that go in sports as well? Dean Smith?
oh, it could go actually in 3 places, and the question is, where would you look for this if you were looking for it? We have a North Carolina category that's just North Carolina oriented books. Could put it there, could put it in biography, or we could put it in sports. So you have to use your judgment and decide where would you look for this book if you were choosing it. So I'm going to put this in sports because if I was looking for a book on a coach, I would go into the sports category.
Further to what we're talking about, I was just looking at books that we've all just done. Before I Get Old, the story of The Who, the old dance group from the 70s, 60s, I think. And I found this in music, which makes perfect sense, instead of biography.
Right.